we're still waiting for the response, apparently.
I'll wait for multiple choice.
Okay.
Yes, no, maybe?
So we're going to take the LSAT.
Council meeting January 8th, 2013.
Read that in the paper.
Yeah, and it's gonna be costly for any starting county if they have.
Oh, thank Randy for that.
Hey, Dave, you get a phone call yet?
That's kind of bad.
That's good. I've got a really, they don't know what's going on now.
Working for Bill Van Tynen. He actually used to be the manager there.
Oh,
And
really?
they proposed that when he was there. That was quite a few years ago.
Garrett said it almost makes sense for them though, because of their chamber and everything.
I gotta take that off. I can't wear
Garrett goes out to their.
that.
Yes, council meeting
Council all
January
set?
8th, 2013.
Starting here, if we can. 7 o'clock, I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilor Garrison,
Present.
Councilor Bickford,
Present.
Councilor Pesky,
Here.
Councilor Ward,
Here.
Councilor La Rochelle,
Here.
Councilor Mason,
Here.
and Councilor Lund.
Here.
Next item, please.
Nothing for a public hearing. Under audience participation, at this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward.
Open that. Go ahead.
Look directly at me like I'm, okay. Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. I've been reviewing the town homepage. And this is the first page that any visitor who's looking at the town of Lisbon gets to see. The information that's on there should be things that will be of benefit to whoever's looking. So I went down through there, and the first item on there is the managerial report. And the last one that was posted is July 2012. I would say we're missing a few there, okay? Also on there, we have the 2013 town budget presentation, the town manager's presentation on there. I mean, those weren't the work documents that we had when we started the process last year during the budget season. They are nowhere near the figures that were approved by this council. And I have no understanding of why they would bring any value to anybody, because we're not using them. The same way with the town report, we've got 2 on there, 2009 and 2010, and then we have a 2010 and 2011. The 2010-2011 is the latest one, so I can appreciate that one, but we don't need both of them up there. The public hearing, department details, summary sheets, and budget presentations all pertain to the meeting that took place on May 8th, 2012. It's gone by. It's over with, done, finished. All of that information, and the last one is the one that I really enjoy the most. Fireworks survey results. This is a survey that was done by the town and was ignored, or I shouldn't say ignored, let's just say wasn't utilized by the council when they passed the fireworks ordinance. Why is it still out why is this information that is of no value, that's not current, that's outdated, still posted on the home page now? It's not buried down in somewhere. It's on the home page. This is the first page everybody sees when they click on the town website. I have a feeling that we should kind of update that. I would like to see the new budget, proposed budget out there, and current information that involves what's going on in the community. I don't think we really need to know what took place on May 8th of last year that we're not utilizing. If the information is no longer of value and no longer current, it needs to be taken off of the webpage. It should only have current information out there so that people think we know what we're doing. Thank you.
Anybody else for audience participation? Seeing none, we'll move on. Twyla?
Audience participation response.
I will address some of that.
Yes.
In response to your questions, Mr. Fillmore, the manager's report is being done on a quarterly basis. That's why you have not seen anything. The deadline was end of December, and department heads are getting their reports in so we can get it put together. And information that you may not find that is pertinent to what you would like is necessarily not valuable to somebody else. And if you go back and look at some of the minutes, they're online from planning board. There's a reference to what's going on to the master plan. There's a link to Wright Pierce's site that's up to date. So I think there are areas that are very up to date and pertinent. So that's my response.
Thank you. Twyla, next item, please.
Is under consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Seeing none. Order 2013-1 to approve the minutes of December 11 and December 18.
Entertain a motion?
I so move.
Second that?
All those in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
Next item, please.
Under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances, Order 2013-2, GA Housing Maximums, Appendix C, first reading, roll call vote required.
This is an adoption of state guidelines that we do when they come out. It's just following what the Department of DHHS has set for housing guidelines for our general assistance people.
And just to make council aware, this isn't something we really have any discussion on. It's basically we have to adopt it as part of our.
Unless you
needs.
choose to increase it.
Yeah, which probably wouldn't happen. Why don't we do a roll call vote?
Yes,
Actually,
are you ready?
yes.
All right. Counselor Garrison? Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Pesky?
Yep.
Counselor La Rochelle?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
You have 7 yeses, 0 nays, order passed.
Next item, please.
Under other business, A, 2013-2014 Board and Committee Council Liaisons.
We actually have a list. I actually had it out in the meeting prior, and I forgot to go over it because we had some other stuff going on, so I gave you more time to study it. As we move on, we'll be meeting shortly with some of the committee heads, I believe. So some of these, and it's nice to actually make sure that the committees know who is actually going to be their representative from the council. And hopefully you had an opportunity to go through and kind of look at these and see which ones. So I'd like to spend some time right now just to put a name next to these. What we'd like to see, if all possible, is the member of the council to be somewhat active so they can come back and report to the council so we actually have an idea what's happening on the committee. If there's any concerns or otherwise needs to be addressed, we can be the link to the committee and actually move on if there's something that needs to be taken care of. Now, I'm not sure. I think what I'll do is kind of go through these and maybe somebody, if they already know what they can do. The Board of Appeals, some of these probably are not quite as intense as the other ones. They probably don't meet quite as regularly. So the Board of Appeals is one of those things where it meets the third Monday of every month, but when was the last time they met? Year?
Ask the lady here.
Last December. So as you can see, is there anybody to be interested in participating on that, if it would be a case? Okay, great.
Anyone is welcome.
Anybody is welcome. The next one, actually, I believe you've been involved in. And
Yeah, I would
something
like
you-
to continue with the Conservation Commission.
And these don't actually have to be a single person from the group, so if anybody else is interested in going to the meetings, that'd be great. The Library Governing Board,
I've usually done that in the past. If somebody else wants to take a whack at it, they're free to. I'll trade if anyone wants to. Otherwise, I'm, happy to keep up with that.
anybody else that, you enjoy that? I mean,
Sure,
it's
my
actually
mom's
pretty
on the board, so
Yeah, that works good.
convenient.
Good, that's a good word.
Mark. Planning Board,
I think I was doing that last year, and again, I have a family member on that board, so it's easy for me to keep up with what they're doing if other people are happy with that.
and as we move forward, hopefully the council will be very involved with the Planning Board as we go through with some of our master planning, so hopefully that won't be limited to just one. Recreation Committee?
That's another one that I've been doing. I would like to continue doing it, unless there's somebody else who, I enjoy it.
Okay. School Committee?
I will do that.
All right. I also try to attend as many as I can, but it'd be good to actually make sure that one of us is there, so that works out pretty well. Along with that, which actually for the Facilities Committee is actually not listed as a separate one, but that'd probably be kind of the same, so.
Yeah, I
They
will
do.
take that as well.
Appreciate if two of us actually attend that, which hopefully we can, and so I'll work with you on that also. Trails Commission.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
But there's a stipulation.
Okay.
Usually we have a workshop when they do it, so Steve, you're out there, bear with me, that's all.
Water Commissioners?
I'd like to do that too.
Okay.
They seem to swallow hard when I go in.
Oh, yeah.
Be nice. MTM Board of Directors?
I'll do, well,
Yeah, that's usually
yeah, I'll
held during
do
the
it. I
day.
haven't been able to make their meetings a lot, but I was doing it before.
All right, Gina, thank you. Technology Committee?
That's a committee that really, we don't have any members, and we haven't really had a need for that.
So at this point, we'll hold off.
We'll hold off. A lot of them moved away.
The
Except for Mike.
Revolving Loan Committee, and this doesn't meet that often, but it does meet some. Have we ever had people in the past, as a council, actually sit on that?
Mike did, when he was here.
When do
I
they
think
typically
Dale
meet?
did too, quite a
We
few
usually
years
try to
ago.
do it late in the afternoon, because most everybody who's on that committee besides Jessica and I and Scott are, they have other jobs, so it's.
I'll sit on that one unless someone else actually has an interest. And sometimes I can sneak away. Schools Facility Committee, and again, I think that would be the, myself and you also, that way there we can make sure that we actually do it. Audit Committee, which is no longer. Budget Advisory Committee, Advisory Board, which that's no longer we have to do. Board of Assessment Review. In the past,
I've done it, but I've never seen meetings.
yeah, okay,
I was appointed late.
I'll do it if it comes up.
okay,
We haven't been called out.
Okay.
just in case, right?
Who's going to do that?
Greg.
Greg?
Greg will actually do it. And Ethics Panel?
How often does that meet? That doesn't meet very often.
When they
Hopefully
need to.
never, but
Hopefully
they,
never.
yeah.
I will, I'll take that for,
I'll do it with you.
All right,
Dylan and Lisa.
Dylan and Lisa. And Voter Registration Appeals Board, have they ever met?
Like, never. I've never
Twyla?
remembered.
Is
I've
that
never
it?
refused a registration yet, but I won't say never,
Okay.
never. But no, I haven't.
If that comes up, I guess we'll make sure we're all there. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, and if anybody has, again, the opportunity would be for you to meet as much as possible with the committees and actually come back and try to keep the rest of the council aware of what's happening. Thank you. Next item, please.
Is under other business, town manager's review.
You want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. We actually have the town manager's review is coming up. The last couple of years, we've done it a couple of different ways. Steve is actually doing a self-evaluation at this point, and what we're going to do as a council is we usually meet in executive session, and we'll go over the highlights of his review, then we'll do a little homework, and then we usually meet back to go over it with Steve. And that will be coming up, so we'll have a form that will be
I'll hand out a form I have tonight for you all, it's all the same. And I had scheduled the 22nd as,
As an executive workshop. And we'll go on that. It is an important part of every year to actually not just evaluate them, but set goals. And as the council sets goals, hopefully we can have them work together. Any other questions on the manager's review at all? I mean, that will be something that we'll all be working on as we go through. Next item, please.
Is the Lisbon-Lewiston rail line?
This is something that I put on the agenda. At the last ATRC meeting, we were talking about projects and talking about the bike ped program, and Lewiston, their representatives, and myself discussed the rail lines and that don't get used here from Lisbon all the way to Lewiston. Lewiston has torn up some of theirs or covered them over. They've made themselves legally responsible. If the rail line decides to go, they have to put them back. But they wanted to partner with Lisbon because we were talking about ATV and multi-purpose trails. We've been talking about that with the bike ped, AVCOG ATRC bike ped group. And my question to the council is, do you want us to partner with them? And it's not really a commitment, just work together to try to move this forward so we can either tear up the line or, I'm not sure. It's going to be a very difficult process. I talked to Nate Moulton, who's from the DOT, but we figured if we get our state representatives involved and work with the DOT, we might be able to make some headway, hopefully.
What would be the commitment of the council? Would be the idea of just a...
Just my time.
Just your time?
Just my time, that's it.
Mm.
Just that you give me a direction that that's a project that you'd like me to at least spend some time on.
If nothing else, I think we need to be abreast of what's happening to actually know. So, I mean, I think it's a valuable item. Is there any discussion from council, or I think it's definitely worthwhile, even if nothing happens, to at least know why and what future plans they have.
Yep.
So I would encourage you to actually...
Continue.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's an important thing. It does definitely affect our town from one end to the other, so...
Yeah, if we could do a multi-purpose trail, it would be a real economic development tool. Lewiston feels the same way. We both have rail lines that really interfere with our economic development strategies at times because they're not active. So we'll move forward on that.
Good enough. Next item, please.
Is D, town manager's report?
Just council orientation, we had tentatively scheduled that for this coming Saturday. Several councilors have other commitments and can't make it and need a little bit more advance notice. If the council would be up for moving that to February 1st, that's a Saturday. It's right before the budget process. The whole point is to get you into our facilities to see the equipment, the condition it's in, what our buildings are, and listen to department heads talk about their needs. Is that a date that will work for everybody?
That's Saturday, the 2nd.
This is the second?
February 2nd?
This is last year's.
It's last
calendar.
that's
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, it's the
behind
second,
you.
I'm
Yeah, it
sorry.
is.
Yep. And I'll send out, we usually meet here at 1 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock, yes,
So
sir.
bring your coffee. I usually get a van from the school, and we all pound into the van and go about our way. So
Very
we'll be
interesting.
starting with the police department, and it's always a interesting and fun trip. Camaraderie.
See some interesting things. You see a lot of things that scare the hell out of you, but it's interesting.
The University of Maine Cooperative Extension has, I'm on the board of directors there. They have reached out and asked if the council would consider putting a handicap parking spot one more time. Every time they go through their ADA compliance, that's a ding that they get. They don't have an ADA parking area, handicap parking area in front of their building. We do have one up by the library and down by Dr. Mike's, but those are usually full. So something that I can put on an agenda, you can talk about it more. But
Can you actually put together what are details? I mean, what needs to be involved and the cost factor? And
okay, yep, I
that
can
must
do
be
that.
quite a bit of guidelines that needs to follow, I'm sure.
Okay. And the only other thing I have is Roger Dale sent us a template of a legislative bill for the water department, and Roger and I have tweaked that up, and I have to have it in before the 18th of January, or they do. We've got it pretty much completed, and we should be able to get it to him by the end of this week. I'll send you all copies so you can see it. It's a lot of legal jargon, and just, we had to tweak it just because of the stipulations in their existing charter, which is we're going to try to resolve. So that's pretty much prepared, and we'll move forward on that. And we did meet with the PUC, Jessica Malloy, myself, and Ryan, and just spent an hour with them, and just got a lot of information, things that we will have to do to get their blessing on this if it does come to fruition. I also need a date, because this is going to have to go to referendum. It's because it's in the charter that we're dissolving, so the question is, we have to have 20% of our voters turn out to make this work. We're probably more apt to get them in November versus June during the school vote. And that has to be written in, I think, to this bill. So I guess my question would be, do you want to do it in November, or do you want to try to do it in June?
I don't want to do it in November.
Yeah.
Do we get 20% in June at all? No, I didn't think so. So we'll,
Is it 20% of the turnout, or no? They have to vote
20% of the
yes?
registered voters, I
It's
think.
20% of the voters, yeah, no.
May,
Okay.
now, this is to actually add it to our charter? Or is this a vote to,
Dissolve.
'cause
This
it's not
vote
in
would be, the legislative body would, if they pass it, which we expect they will, they'll pass the bill, and this stipulation is that it has to go back to the voters for approval, that we would do this. So once that's done, we can take effect immediately, once the voters give us their blessing.
All right. Any
So we'll do
discussion?
that for the June election, or June vote.
No.
Or November, I'm
November.
sorry.
November, yeah.
Take a look at the statistics, give you some
Um,
information.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Next item, please, Twyla.
Is appointments. Order 2013-3, 2 council liaisons to serve on Route 196 Steering Committee.
And just to touch base on this, I'm really hoping the whole council actually gets involved. I mean, not every meeting, but actually at least participates, because it is going to be a very important factor that we continue with it. And at the end, it's something the council has probably had to act on, so it's nice to actually stay on top of it. We're looking for 2 people to dedicate the time to be there, but I would really appreciate more than just 2 people to actually take interest in it. I plan on being there. I mean, I don't necessarily need to be one of the people that put their names down to vote this in, but
I'm going to be there for at least the first one, and then I can go from there. But
I will commit to that as well.
How often are the meetings? I guess there was never.
they'd be pretty aggressive at first.
For the first 6
Sounds
months.
like-
First 6 months, a couple times a month, if not more.
No.
I mean, it all depends.
It-
No?
Not right now.
Not right now. But it will,
Set up to be once a month, the second Thursday.
okay. But it may actually venture into
The
more.
steering
if-
committee
yeah.
is one Thursday a month, and then the planning board is another Thursday in the month. So if somebody wanted to make sure they stayed up to date, they would probably want to go to both of them. Is that,
Planning board meets twice a month.
right, but you probably want to go to at least
Hmm.
one of the planning board meetings.
So why don't we do 2 official members, and then we can vote on that if we need a vote, and we maybe not. But Dylan, for sure. I mean, you got the time? And is there anybody else? I mean, Mark will most likely be there.
I'll vote for it. I'll go, if you want me
Okay.
to, sure.
Okay, is that something we actually need to vote on, or is that something we, to appoint, or
No, you,
just?
Just-
all right,
just like your liaison, you,
Okay, but I assume that we're all trying to be there if all possible.
that's official.
Okay.
Their first meeting will be this Thursday, so it's been advertised, and hopefully we get a good turnout.
Next item, please, Twyla.
Council Communications.
Anybody from the council? Nothing exciting, man. We got to get some stuff rolling here. Huh? Make some stuff to
I'm
talk
just
about.
happy to be back.
Just
After a
happy to
long
be.
vacation.
I know it, huh? We had time away a little bit. No communication at all. I'll actually continue on then. A couple things. We've had a few snowstorms, and I do appreciate the work of Public Works and all our safety people to actually make things happen. Downtown's cleaned up. It's nice to see things happen, and our Public Works actually still one of the better towns to drive through.
Good.
It's not really good for
They do a
businesses
nice
like
job.
mine sometimes, but it's actually a good town to drive through when it comes to be a storm. And I have people driving in from out of town that really comment on the idea of how well Lisbon does with their roads and cleaning things up and keeping things plowed. So that's nice to know, and we do want to thank everybody for Public Works and safety for letting that happen. Next item, I just want to clarify a couple things was, in the past, there's been some concern about the homestead exemption that actually came forward, and I know there's people that were inquiring it. And through the tabloids, actually, my name gets put in there quite a bit, so I just want to make some clarifications. There was a concern for some people that were looking into homestead exemption, questioning whether or not somehow we had done some wrong things, and not to myself, but my parents. One of the things that my parents actually lived in this town for over 50 years, and some years back, they actually did a change where they actually took their homestead and actually put it into an LLC. And one of the things that happened at that point in time is they actually were guaranteed a lifelong homestead or continuous to be able to live there. And under state law in Maine, having that home occupancy, they can actually continue to maintain and pay taxes on that, and actually are eligible for the homestead exemption. Unfortunately, in town, we have a lot of people that bring our town down that actually just tend to actually try to pick on the council and drag us through the mud. And with the process of that, my name's been eligible, and the LLC has been my parents' name have been all over the tabloids. I call them tabloids because that's what they are. They're nothing more than, half-truths. Actually saying that we've done wrong for the town, and I can honestly say that my parents have actually done more for the town than these people will ever do in a moment of their life. They'll never live long enough to do enough. But to actually not fight it, my parents are getting older. My father's basically at the end of his life, and having this stuff dragged through the mud. I actually went back and actually paid back the last 10 years of homestead exemption, not because I had to, because I'm tired of listening to the crap that actually gets published. And, the people that do this, I would call them about as low as we can do, and they don't actually add anything to this town. But that was the only LLC that they were able to find that there would actually be any exemption. And again, I want to clarify, there was no wrongdoing, nor did we have to pay it back. But at this point in the world, it's easier just to
Like the bullet.
bite the bullet and try to put away, but not in the point in my world where I need my parents' names dragged through the mud. And I appreciate what you guys do, and you are here, so thank you. And that's my take on it. Anybody else for council communications? That being said, next item, please.
Is an executive session, Order 2013-4, 5, and 6, to go into executive session per 1 MRSA Section 405-6A, Personnel Matters, Sergeant's Arbitration, 6A, Personnel Matters, Finance Committee, Application Review, and 6C, Economic Development.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
And do we plan on having any votes out of this?
No
Steve?
decisions,
No
no,
decisions. So we will not be coming back for any votes after.
no, just
Going
orientation.
to do the orientation workshop, okay.
Yep, just for the workshop. Are we going to stay in here for the executive session?
Yeah, I think it would be easier for us to stay here.
Okay. All right.
All right.
We'll give 5 minutes for it to clear out, and we'll go from there.